Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Courageous Conversations. I'm here with the lovely and adventuresome and amazing author, Leanne Babcock. Hi, Leanne. Nice to see you.
Hello, Victoria.
Hi.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, and you'll be talking to me. You'll be talking to them. We'll be looking in all directions. But firstly, you know what I'm going to do, Leanne, is I'm going to do a little bit of sharing because that's what I do, and I want everybody to be sort of with us on the journey.
Great.
Of hearing your story. Hi, Louise from Portugal. Nice to see you. I'm just going to do a little bit of sharing so that people can, just join us and maybe ask a question or two or not.
That'd be great.
We're open. We're open.
That's the title of my book.
Yes, I know. Open Me. I just love that. It's such a beautiful. I'm going to talk all about Leanne's book. Leanne, the thing I love about you is that you're so. I would say you are like courageous, as in the example of courageousness in many ways. When I first met you, I thought, and I heard a little bit about your story, I thought, what a cool human you are. Do you get that a lot? Do people do people say, wow, look at you, you're amazing in that regard?
Yeah, I do.
You get some admiration because you're kind of the poster child for courage, I would say.
Oh, wow.
I think so.
Unintentionally, really, but...
Do you think it's unintentional? You're just doing the next right thing in front of you?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, and I would say probably if people knew what was ahead, they probably wouldn't do it. Maybe. They would probably just say,
Oh, that might be true with a lot of things,
Yeah.
If I'd seen the end, I wouldn't have started up that business.
That's right.
I wouldn't have got into that relationship.
Right, if you'd seen the end, yeah.
But the thing is, we wouldn't have then got the lessons and the experience and the wisdom from that. Because everything teaches us.
Now, let me just show everybody a little bit about, Open Me, which is such a great cover, by the way. How'd you come up with this beautiful cover? It's such a great cover, standing on the edge of the ocean on a cliff.
That's an awesome designer from New Zealand.
Yeah. Oh, so that's amazing. Yeah, so let me just go a little bit to your story. So, Leanne, you used to live in New Zealand. And you lived there for how long? Like, what was the...
Almost 30 years. Yeah, married a New Zealander and went over there. I started up my business there. And...
What's New Zealand like? I mean, that's...
Oh, it's beautiful.
Is it lovely?
It is. It is.
And good weather.
Exactly what, what all the travel books
all the
say.
Hype. What's all the hype about? Well, great weather. And so these are the kinds of things. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Scott. Nice to see everybody joining us. And please share this as I'm sharing it as well. Speaking to the lovely Leanne Babcock. And hi, Wendy. Hi, everyone that's joining us. Love to have you on board as we talk about this amazing journey that Leanne has been on. So you used to live in New Zealand. How long did you live there for?
Almost 30 years.
30 years. And tell me a little bit about what you do. Tell them what you do.
Right.
Because I firstly, I just want to contextualize your life.
Okay.
So you're living in New Zealand for how long? You said 30 years?
Yes.
And you were how old when... Well,
no.
Yeah, you were like,
No. Let's just say, okay,
Let's just say 30 years ago, yeah.
Yeah,
She looks fabulous, yeah.
When I was 2, I left Canada.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because you're Canadian, exactly.
I am.
And you had a full, and you're a coach, right?
Yes.
What kind of coach are you?
Yeah, transformational coach.
Yeah.
And trained in psychology and transformational, transactional analysis, hypnotherapy, NLP.
Yeah, great book title, says Caroline.
Thank
Open
you.
Me. What a great, I fell in love with that title, Open Me, because it's like, I do believe that when we live a courageous life, that's what life is trying to do, is trying to open us.
Yeah.
Stop being so bloody afraid,
Yeah.
because...
And you know what? I really think every day takes courage. Just like day-to-day things.
Just
even
getting up in the morning.
Living. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, the main, I guess, theme of the book is following our own deep inner wisdom. And, it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Oh my God. Hi, Dorta. Nice to see you.
Yeah, because our own inner wisdom or intuition, call it what you want, it's not guided by what we're supposed to do and, what the culture says and the family says.
Right.
And it takes so much courage to just listen.
Oh, And when you get your nudgings, your intuitive nudgings from the universe, what do they sound like to you? Like each of us has our own little nudging from the. What's your? How does your nudging happen?
Sometimes I hear a little voice, or I do see. Like when I'm working with a client, I'm actually shown visually what to do next. Okay. And in a sense, I'm just kind of following the steps that I'm being shown. And sometimes I'll just have a real inner knowing, And
so like a kinesthetic knowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all receive these intuitive messages all the time.
All the time.
But we just don't always recognize them as that.
That's right.
And it can be something as simple as, let's say you're walking out the door and you can sense or hear that little voice, take your scarf.
Yeah, because it's going to be cold later.
Or whatever, and maybe you go back and get your scarf, or maybe you don't.
Yeah.
But then you realize as the day goes on, you needed your scarf.
Right.
So there is simple as that.
So listen. Courageously listen to stuff is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let go of a bit of control, the illusion of control.
Yes.
There's such an illusion of control, isn't it? Dorta says, hi, beautiful. Thank you. Great, courageous talks. And when he says nudge, nudge. And thanks, everyone who's joining us. Continue to join us, and I appreciate it. If I haven't said hi to you, my apologies, but the names go really quickly. So, hi, Belinda. Nice to see you.
And I'm just watching all this. I wish I could see your faces. But anyway, I know you're there.
Yeah, I know you're there. Yes. It's just the coolest mechanism,
Isn't it?
The Facebook Live mechanism. I really love it. Now, the thing that most struck me about you, Leanne, is that you decided to leave your lovely life in New Zealand and come back to Canada.
I know.
Now, I love Canada. Don't get me wrong. Canada's a great country. But, it's different. It's a different life. It's a different climate. It's a different experience. And you chose to, and I'm going to just say it, you chose to leave secure relationships. These are courageous, ballsy acts. But then when I say ballsy, I'm like, wait a minute. They're actually breastly acts, because women or that act, very, very, very ballsy.
That's
very,
where
very
our
courageous.
power comes
It's like,
from.
takes a pounding, and
Really?
so it's exactly. It's like our power, exactly. And so, firstly, I want us to just share, because a lot of what you document in this book is that courageous act.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that with the folks that are tuning in? And there's lots of folks tuning in, and I'm so glad you are. Thanks, Ramesh, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the story kind of begins at a time when I thought, I had finally got myself to a place where I'd made it. I had the lifestyle, the husband, and
wow,
and
you made it. Yeah.
Yeah. According to what you're supposed
Life
to do.
says, yes.
And then I did get this intuitive message, and it was just like a little whisper, just like the scarf, and and that message was about leaving, which. Honestly, it was the last thing on my mind.
Really?
I was not thinking about it.
So,
I mean, who would leave what I had? And at first I wanted to ignore it.
So what you had was a career. Tell us what you had. Yeah.
Well, I had a career. My husband and I owned a farm. We had our challenges, like every relationship.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I had my business, and really I didn't want for anything.
Right.
So. Why leave that? I mean, it was just, on one hand, it was so comfortable. But, when I got that message and I didn't want to know, right?
Yeah.
I ignored it. I walked away from it. But the thing is that it just kind of kept nagging me, right? And then it just kind of, every day, each, moment, it would sink into me, almost like, when you're brewing tea and the message in the tea, percolates isn't the word, that's coffee. Yeah. But, the message kind of sinks in, and as the message sunk in, it was like it started screaming inside of me. Ooh. And it was like, oh my God. And I just knew my whole life was going to fall apart. And, and honestly, I did spend some time just really... I don't want to just, jump ship and, leave everything and do something stupid and irresponsible. Mm-hmm. And so I really had to check deep, deep, deep inside here. And you know what, Victoria, when I felt the truth of that so strong.
Wow.
I knew that if I did not follow it,
I'm getting shivers as you're talking.
Wasn't going to be right. And, you know, I think it was that. It was, you know, the roots of me were being shaken. And
wow.
It took all the courage I had, knowing what I was going to face.
I'm feeling this. I'm really Leanne, thank you for joining us. And Lisa, my dear friend from San Francisco and that I went to high school with, is joining us. This is such a powerful story. I mean, it really is. It shook you to your roots. It shook me
to my roots, and then it led me on a spiritual journey because, you know, the only thing I had to count on, you know, when everything falls apart in your life and you know, you're in a relationship, you know, people move away, your friends move away, people take sides, it's awful. And the only thing I had to listen to was, I would meditate, right? And because I do a lot of intuition work, that's just natural for me. Yeah. And I would go, all right, what am I going to do now? And I would get an answer, and I would just do it. And it led me on a spiritual journey, which is actually, you know, a big part of the book. And miracles happened everywhere. You know, it's like when I realized, when I began to just truly, faithfully follow the truth inside, it was like miracle after miracle. The universe was coming to support me.
Give me some examples of some of your miracles. Alone. What were some of the miracles that were showing up?
And I haven't answered your question about coming back to Canada
yes,
yet.
Okay.
I know.
I'm just like, sorry. Give me more.
Okay, so this is a beautiful one, and it's easy to share. So I was in London, so I had attended the Prophets Conference in Glastonbury.
Oh, okay.
And then I
think our mutual friend Helen did some of that. No, I think in Glastonbury.
Oh, quite possibly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yes. And then I was going to do the shadow process with Debbie Ford in New York.
Okay.
And I had wanted to do this course for like 18 months. You know, it's about following and embracing your inner demons and making peace with yourself.
Right.
And it was all part of my pilgrimage at the time. And so there I was, and I was looking at my itinerary. And do you know, for the first time, it hit me that I only had 2 hours from when I would land in Philadelphia to catch my connecting flight to go to New York.
Okay.
And so I'm arriving at a domestic, international, and then I had to depart on domestic, and it was the furthest terminal away. And it was at the time when all the security after it had been heightened, and there was just no way. There was no way 2 hours was sufficient anymore.
At all.
No, at all.
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit annoyed with myself because I thought, have I come this far to miss
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, universe, whoever's in charge of miracles, I need one. And
now,
yeah,
bring a miracle on.
That's right. And then I just listened and I paid attention, because what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
I was already going to miss my flight.
You're at the mercy of the moment.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right? And so then I feel a desire to pack my overnight things in my carry-on luggage, which is weird. Like, I never do that, right? And so my fingers are shaking and I'm repacking my stuff, and my head is going, what are you doing? You know, you don't do that. Are you going to lose your bag? You can't lose your bag. It's got all the things for 5 weeks. And I'm like, so I just started to hum, because when I'm humming, I can't think.
It's like, shut up and pay attention. I got it. Yes, got it.
So I arrive in Philadelphia. Timing's great. I recheck my bag. The woman puts a new tag on it, and then she shoves the bag back at me. And this is when things go wrong, because I thought she was going to take my bag. Mm-hmm. And then she goes, no, and she tells me what I'm supposed to do with it, but I can't understand her. It's as if my ears are all plugged up. And
oh, wow.
I know. And it's like she's saying,
wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
That's it. And so I made her repeat it 3 times. The line is growing behind me and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this again. So I left the line, not knowing what to do, other than my luggage had to go on the x-ray machine behind me. So I did that, and it was right in the middle of the airport hall floor. And so I left my bag there, and then I just stood there waiting for a sign, because I had asked, and that was the only thing I had to rely on. The security guard came walking by, and he looks at me, and he says, are you going to Terminal F? And I kind of started to laugh, because there's hundreds of people around me. and he talks just at me.
He talks right to you.
And and that's the terminal I'm going to.
Yes.
So I said yes, and he says, well, follow me. And he carries on his way, and I said,
takes you there.
He said, yeah, but the woman told me, was pointing over there, even though I couldn't understand her. She's pointing, right? So she's pointing in the opposite direction. And he shrugs and keeps going. So, with my whole body, I just want to follow him, so I do. In that, I totally forget my luggage in the middle of the airport floor.
Oh.
Yep. So, I can no longer see him. He's disappeared, but I can see the signs for Terminal F, which is great, right? I'm like, okay, I've made it.
Yes.
And I arrive, and I look, and there's 100 people there, and it's not Terminal F, and they're all waiting to go through security so that they can board on the shuttles to go to the different shuttles, terminals, right?
Terminals.
And I know then I'm not going to make it. And so I just take a nice deep breath and I look for another sign. And
wow, she's got some balls, this woman.
What else do you do in this? It's like
I don't know. There's about a million things.
Anyway.
Let me pause for the cause for just a minute. Love the idea of listening repeatedly to what's next and then doing it, says Lisa. Yes.
Yes.
And Leanne says, sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom to actually open ourselves to trusting in the power of the universe. Complete vulnerability is an amazing catalyst. Yes, Leanne. Yes, I agree. And you've done some, she ran for political office, some really interesting things Leanne has done. And Carolyn Joy says, spiritual journeys are so awesome. Yes, they are.
Our life is a spiritual journey.
Our life is a spiritual
Carolyn.
Journey. And yeah, exactly. And it's a calling. And it was a calling, absolutely.
A life is a calling.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So
keep going. Okay. So we need to hear what's happened here.
So I'm looking for another sign.
Thanks, Gabby, for joining us.
Yes. There's another security guard he's in the middle of this 100 people, and he looks at me and he talks to everybody and he says, "Are you going to Terminal F?" And I look around. No, he didn't say you. He says, "Is anyone?" Sorry, I've already personalized it. Yeah. Is anybody going to Terminal F? While he's looking at me, and nobody makes any sign that they've heard him. Everyone keeps talking, ignoring him, and I raise my hand, and he motions me forward, looks at my ticket, and he says, "You're not going to make it if you stay." He says, "Here's what you can do: go down those stairs, go outside the terminal, take the employees' shuttle to Terminal F, and go through security there." That's exactly what I did. And I knew I was in the middle of a miracle. I mean, you can't plan these things, right?
So he literally pulled you out of a crowd and said, "Here, if you want to make it, this is what you got to do."
Yes.
And you did it.
I know.
And you made it.
I did. I did. And if you're wondering about my luggage, I don't want to take time up.
Did you find your luggage?
Yes, and that's another miracle.
Hey, Marjorie, nice to see you from Brazil. Good friend from Brazil. From my old high school, American school days in Rio. Tell me,
beautiful.
What happened to your luggage?
Oh, the one I left in the middle of the floor.
What ended up happening?
Well, you know how pieces of luggage, there's the announcements that are always, you see any unclaimed, unidentified luggage on the floor, let security know. And I knew if security got my luggage, I would never get it back.
Never, yes.
And so there I am, and it only occurs to me when I arrive in New York. And so I stand in the lost luggage line, and I'm going through my head all the wonderful things I've got in my bag, and I'm doing a practice of letting it go.
Are you panicking at all, or you're panicking and then letting go?
Yeah, it's like, why should I panic? It's like it's happened.
So your system doesn't go into panic and then letting go. You've trained yourself to go past the panic and into the letting go pretty quickly.
Quickly, because the initial, it's like, oh my God, what did I do?
Right.
And look at all the things I've lost, and then it's like, wait a minute,
and then you train your neural pathways are trained to go into, okay, I'm just going to breathe and let this go.
Totally, because panicking isn't going to help me.
Well, yes, that's the logical concept, but many people will go, it doesn't matter that it's not helping me. I'm into fucking panic.
I just start breathing right away, and it's like, it's only stuff.
It's only stuff.
It is only stuff, so I'm going through until I got to the blue dress that I left in there, and I was like, oh no!
The blue dress. We are girls, so
I had to do a little bit more of letting go with that one. But anyway, by the time I got to the counter, You know, the poor guy was exhausted, you know, and he didn't even look at me. And he's like, you know, he's got his fingers on the keyboard and he goes, "I'm sorry, ma'am, we've lost your luggage. What can I do?" And I looked at him and I said, "You know, you didn't lose my luggage. I did.
Nice.
And here's what I did."
Yeah.
And he stopped, looked up at me, and his eyes got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
It was as if, I've never heard this one before.
Yeah.
And then he checked on...
You owned it.
the computer, and he said, "I've got your bag, ma'am." So firstly, that's the first miracle, because somebody...
No, the first miracle is you made the flight.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, around my luggage,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
But somebody actually picked up my bag and put it on a flight. Now, that's illegal.
Oh, my gosh.
So the security didn't claim it.
No, but somebody
and airport staff didn't pick it up. Somebody picked up my bag and put it on a flight. So once it was on a flight, I mean, it was actually going somewhere else, not where I was, but at least we could trace it and find it.
And get it to you at some point.
Yes. And so the guy said, "Well, look," he says, "you know, we'll get your bag." And I said, "You know what? I know you will. But here's the problem. I'm just going to be in New York for this weekend course, and then I'm flying to Arizona. And if my luggage doesn't find me this weekend, then it's probably going to end up on a trail."
Yeah.
You know, and I just figured that'll probably be, you know, lost then. And I looked at him and I said, "You know, I know that if my luggage was to get here before the end of the weekend," which is like, that just gave him like a day and a half, really, to find my luggage. I said, "I know that would actually require a lot of extra effort on your part.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that I know that."
Look at you. Oh, so compassionate and vulnerable and owning it.
Yeah. And, you know, we just locked eyes for like just a few seconds. And then he looked at me and he said, "Leave it with me, ma'am." I got my luggage.
Yeah, of course you did. Within the right time frame.
Yes.
The miracles of life are pretty amazing, aren't they? I mean, and Leanne says, "No blue dress." And Carolyn Joy says, "That was so funny. Letting go exercises, breathing techniques, lost and found luggage miracle." Absolutely. And so what I'm hearing you say is that a lot of your life, a lot of your experiencing has been, you know, about this type of surrender to the moment, surrender to the potential and the possibility of a miracle happening, and that you just got out of the way. You literally got out of the way of it, and it just sort of unfolded.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but you know, miracles happen all the time, and they happen every day, and I don't think we're always paying attention. I know I haven't always paid attention.
No, I know. It's you're right. And it, you know, being at the right place, right time in terms of driving somewhere, and there's a traffic accident, that kind of thing, and you're somehow diverted, but you didn't know why, and you're pissed off that you're diverted, but actually you were diverted because of, you know, these types of things.
I know. Yes.
Yeah. And so when you started to write Open Me.
Yeah.
Open Me. What a great...
The true story.
Yeah, the true story. Oh, yeah, read this for me.
Yeah, that's the subtitle. The true story of a magical journey from fear to freedom.
Yeah. And when I said hi, Michael, nice to see you. What I say to a lot of people who are you know, coming on this show is, give me a skin in the game story about courage. Like that your skin was in the game and you were scared and then you still mustered up your courage. So you've given a couple. Is there another juicy one for us? Yes. Skin in the game.
Yes, okay.
All right.
So I want to share with you coming to Canada.
Yeah, oh yes.
And also being on my road trip.
All right. Oh yeah. She used to have a camper that she... I love this story so much. Lisa, you had a camper, remember?
Yay!
So yeah. You used to she used to have a camper, and you would just drive everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And sleep in your camper.
Yes.
And figure out where to park. But you know, it's such a great, courageous, ballsy move.
Oh well, I mean. So there I am in New Zealand and following these messages, and then I get a message, "Come back to Canada." And I had not expected that one. I hadn't planned on coming back to Canada.
Right.
Okay. And so that message came to me in several different ways. I would have dreams. It would come in through other people, and then it was like one of those. I knew.
It just was relentless.
I
is
just
what I'm hearing.
knew. Yeah, I knew, and so I did. I sold up everything, and you can imagine. Like my business was established, and I was doing coaching and training. I was doing management and leadership coaching, as well as the transformational intuitive coaching and running shamanic retreats, and
you love that.
And I loved it. But the thing is, when something is stronger and higher than that, it's like you can't hang on to something just because it's familiar and safe, and you know it.
Well, you can.
Yes, you can.
But then what happens is that the universe will boot you in the butt.
You'll get something, eh?
Yeah.
You will. You will get something. And so I thought, okay, I'm going before I get the boot. So and I came here, arrived back in Canada, and I didn't. I mean, Canada's a big place, so where am I going to live, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't feel a real strong call to live anywhere. And there I had just published my book. And so I was then guided to go on a road trip. So I bought a truck camper. And for 12 months, I traveled from coast to coast. I went from Nova Scotia to Florida to California, BC, and then, back to Ontario on
your own.
On my own. I tell you, I slept in forests. I slept in Walmart parking lots, and I want to share one thing. So there I am driving in a camper, and I'm also driving on the other side of the road that I learned to drive in.
Oh right. Mm-hmm. Because she came from New Zealand.
I learned to drive
right.
There.
Let's not forget
I
these
moved there
things.
when I was 2, right? So and so. I never realized that actually it truly is very freeing, right? To be able to just drive and go where you want and where you're guided, right?
Yeah.
But where am I going to sleep the night? I never realized that was actually going to be not an issue, but an preoccupation.
To find out.
Because at first I thought, I'll just stay in campgrounds. Until I realized that the campgrounds were on average about $50 a night, which is fine if you're on holiday, but you add that up over 12 months. So
you need a parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
You need a Walmart parking lot.
And I didn't in the beginning. I didn't know about the Walmart parking lots yet, right?
Of course.
And so there I was driving through Quebec, and I didn't know where I was going to sleep that night. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the highway, and it's getting close to the end of the day. And I said, okay.
I need a miracle.
I need a place to stay.
Okay.
And here's the criteria. You learn to work with intention.
Yeah.
Get really clear.
Also, I was going to say, you learn to. Yeah, that's important information for people. Yeah.
So I need a place that's safe, and for the night, and it's off the road. And not too far from the highway.
Right.
Okay. So I put that out there, and it was getting about that time, and so then I just pay attention and listen, and I felt attracted to get off the highway and take the next exit. So I did. And now I have got no idea. Well, I can't even tell you where I was, other than I was driving through Quebec, right?
Okay.
And I then I just follow. Okay, I feel attracted to turn down this street. Now, I'm really breathing, right? Because I've never done this before. And up to this point, I'd stayed in campgrounds, or I'd had places to stay. So this is the first time I didn't know.
No place to stay.
That's right. The very first time. So, I can't say that I wasn't scared. Courage is about being scared.
Okay. Now that's important information. Courage is about being scared.
Yeah. And doing it anyway.
Because you can only find courage if you're first scared.
Yes. And honestly,
So don't forget that.
I was probably the biggest scaredy cat as a kid. I am actually more naturally introverted. I'd rather stay home and read a book than go to a party,
Yeah.
And, just because when I was little, people would scare me.
Right.
And so I spent more time with the trees and the rocks. And
safer.
It was safer. And, they talked back and, they were friends.
Yeah.
But anyway, there I am on the road, right?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to let people know I was scared.
Yeah.
But I was breathing beyond it. and paying attention and listening.
Yes. So you're scared, you're breathing beyond it, you're paying attention, you're listening. Because our ego can get so involved in, no, I shouldn't do that, and I mustn't do that, and clearly it's scary to do that. And so that can be very interrupting of an intuitive process of ours.
And it also, our logical mind is trying to help.
Hi, Marla. Nice to see you. Hi, Daryl. Nice to see you. And your logical mind is trying to help.
Yeah.
Solution find.
Exactly.
Solution find. Yeah.
Which is really unhelpful.
At that moment, yes. If you're trying to be intuitive, And so you found a spot, I'm imagining.
I did. I then saw this street sign, and the name of the street was Rose. Now, roses are a very special flower to me.
Okay, little sign.
I took that as a sign, right?
Yeah.
And so I turned down this little street, and I noticed that it had grass growing up it, and it was hardly used. Like I could see maybe a couple of cottages in the background, and so it was like, okay, not many people are going to come down here then.
You can pop your
vehicle
there.
Found a nice little, place in the trees and stayed there. And I made it was like carrying a cabin on my back. I made myself this gourmet meal, had a glass of wine, and I slept fabulously.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Listening to the inner yearnings, listening to the inner nudgings, inner pullings, and having the courage, because you're scared, to not listen to logic sometimes, and oft times, and just following that. Now tell us where we can find your book, where we can find you, because people are going to, after all these wonderful adventures that you're talking about, people are going to want to because everybody, don't you feel, I don't know, this is what I think, because I work with people every day, a lot of people, that people are much more pulled currently to follow their intuitive nudgings and their intuitive guidance.
Totally.
I think we're living at a time in which the universe is speaking louder to us. Am I crazy?
No.
I think the universe is speaking louder to us. I think the universe is being much more listen. We're at a moment here on this planet where we've got to really work with the light in that regard.
We do.
I mean,
look at the things we're dealing with every day. We're dealing with climate change, political issues, racial issues, gender issues, relationship, financial. We're dealing with a lot.
And we're also dealing with, I would say, a ton of distraction. As much as I love my computer. I love my computer for so many reasons, to write in it, to communicate with it, to do social media with it, to reach many people, to do this show. Everything can be either a nutrient or a poison.
Yes.
And, I really feel that there's a lot of nutrient that comes from social media, but it can also be quite distracting and quite, stops you from having attention and listening within and all of those things.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise going on.
Noise.
That's, that is distracting us. And, and I really think that what's required now more than anything is to really listen to our deep inner wisdom, because it's there.
Okay.
We have those answers. We know the truth, and we connect with that when we do things like meditate, or develop our intuition.
And it's not about being annoying with meditation. People are like, oh, babe,
I know.
No, it's just about training yourself to quiet your mind.
Well,
to listen.
Can I add?
Yeah, please.
From my experience, my mind doesn't shut up.
Your mind doesn't shut up.
Actually,
so tell me
when
why
I try
you
and
meditate.
do that, it's
why
like,
do you meditate? Isn't it to tune you into that inner...
Well, the meditation is actually a practice of focus. And so
there you go, to train you to focus.
That's right. Because our attention is often on our mind. It's like we're listening to the radio that's going on inside, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And so when we meditate, we find something to bring our attention to. So a lot of meditation practices will go bring your attention to your breath. And so you just bring your attention to that, right? But then the mind gets bored. And it goes, give
it a job.
Yeah.
Give the mind a job.
The practice of meditating is just, noticing your focus or your attention has gone somewhere, and bring your attention back to your breathing. Back to your breathing. And so that's the muscle that you're developing. And what happens is when your attention goes away from your mind, it goes, you go somewhere else.
Yeah. So insightful. I feel like your book, and you're writing a second one.
I'm actually just finishing it, so I'm so excited. It's going to.
Do you have a title?
I do.
Can you reveal it or not?
Yes, I do. It's called Real and Wild You.
Real and Wild. So from Open Me to Real and Wild
You.
You. And I'm just checking the time. We got to start to wrap up. My God, I love this. We're having such a great conversation.
I know.
We're having a courageous conversation about having courageous moments to listen to the intuitive side.
So yes, where people could get the book.
Yes.
Okay,
please.
so I self-published, and also
that's the way to do it.
have that conversation with people because I did explore, the
various options.
Yeah. And I chose self-publishing.
What's your website?
LeanneBabcock.ca. Or go to openme.ca.
Openme.ca, LeanneBabcock.ca. I'm going to have this video proliferated, so please check it out again. I mean, because it's going to be there. And I think I'm going to have you back because there's so many good things that you talk about. Is there one nugget of gold you want to leave our people with?
I do actually.
Right.
And we talked about it, but just to kind of
clinch
embrace it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the two key messages in the book are. Firstly, listen. So take that time, and it doesn't have to be, 20 minutes. It can be 2-3 minutes breathing and listening to our own inner truth. And the second message is trust. Trust.
Listen and trust.
And listen, you'll find the courage. You really will.
Absolutely. Leanne, so good to see you here, and I'm so glad you came. You made your journey from the West.
And that took courage, driving across Toronto.
Of course it does.
For me.
No, I know. Driving is something else in the city. But I just want to say you are a true courageous warrior in many ways, I think. But a loving, peaceful warrior. I know that too. So check out openme.ca, LeanneBabcock.ca, and I just want to say thank you for being courageous because it is because of your courage that so many people will be benefiting. I mean, people are out there going, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Do. Absolutely. It's a good idea. It's a really, really good idea. So I just want to wish everyone a magically beautiful, amazing, courageous day. Be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. And Caroline says, driving in Toronto takes balls. It does. And Caroline wants to know about self-publishing so you guys can connect.
Yeah, just look me up.
Exactly. And I want you to, and I also self-published my first book, so I'll tell you, Carolyn, you can ask me, you can get information from various sources. And I work with a pretty cool self-publisher as well for my first book. Second book, I did a publisher. So that's
you've got lots to share on that.
Yes, indeed. So have a brilliant day. Have a courageous day. Have a courageous conversation with yourself and with others. And thank you again for being here.
Thank
lovely
you, Victoria.
Leanne
It's been great.
Babcock, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
And thank you.
Thanks everyone for showing up today. I appreciate that so much. I'm going to just hit finish.